I'll contrast it also with my prior experience. My first company, eTax, was around for literally a year, from start to finish. From when we founded it and started working on it to when we sold it, to Salesforce as an acquisition. And I think we probably only spent 10 to 12 weeks building the product full time before we launched it publicly and got a TechCrunch article and did the whole thing. We were in YC. And so just very, very different approaches, right, between the first company and the latter. So I think I've kind of, at least with one data point each, experienced both approaches. And I will say, like, first of all, emotionally, they're very different, journeys, right? In the first case, it just felt like this constant, furious sprint to try to get to the next milestone. And, we didn't really know what the future would hold. Like, there was never really any, kind of clear or certainty around like what the next 5 years would look like. But what the only thing that mattered was getting some form of forward progress. It was almost like we were these simple vector machines that were just sort of pivoting around and trying to find what is the right direction to go to descend the gradient. And then with Airtable, we had just a lot more patience, maybe even arguably to a fault where, obviously time is precious. I mean, we all would rather get to where we want to be, in terms of, impact, success, product growth sooner rather than later, right? All else equal. And so I think, we almost had this level of complacency or serenity around knowing that, okay, like, here's where we're going to get to. We kind of know what the mid game, end game looks like. And we just have to like methodically build the product that we think will unlock that or will be a great starting point. So to answer the question more specifically for Airtable, in that case, we were fighting against a few things that made that MVP a much higher threshold to pass, right? One is that we were trying to build a product that individuals and hopefully businesses would actually entrust with valuable data and important workflows, right? And so this is different from, being, for instance, a consumer, kind of social product where the stakes are fairly low. Somebody can just go and try out a new product like that with little ramifications if it doesn't work out. Whereas with Airtable, we're trying to get companies to, people and companies to actually put, important business process into Airtable, right? And, if we went down, if we went bankrupt, if we lost their data, that would have serious consequences for them, right? So that was already one reason why the stakes were higher. I think the second was that, we were also trying to replace existing, behavior, right? So, we weren't just trying to add a new thing into people's lives, as sometimes, again, like, consumer internet products, they're trying to add a net new thing into the, kind of suite of products that you use. TikTok isn't necessarily directly replacing your usage of Instagram, YouTube, et cetera. It's kind of adding a new thing, right? And so, you don't really have to worry about, replacing one for one all of the functionality of the existing product. Whereas for Airtable, we were trying to get people to displace other products with Airtable, whether they be, project management tools that were more task-centric, Trello, et cetera, or even spreadsheets, right? And spreadsheets in particular were a challenging one to replace because, if you think about Excel or Google Sheets, they're pretty sophisticated products with a ton of, complexity. And I mean, the number of lines of code and like, countless, probably millions of person hours of engineering effort, if not more, that have gone into Microsoft Excel over the past 3 decades to form the product that it is today. I mean, it's gargantuan. And there's no way that we could get to perfect feature parity against that product. And yet we wanted people to replace their existing usage of Excel, especially for non-numeric workflow use cases where they were really kind of using it as almost like an app or an app builder as opposed to a number crunching tool. We were trying to get them to replace that existing behavior with Airtable. And so I think there was a higher threshold. Like, we couldn't just have a weekend hack project version of Airtable that people would use instead of a traditional spreadsheet, right? So I think we just the nature of our product and the bet that we were making around why people would use us over the prior art necessitated a much higher kind of MVP threshold to cross.